Genghis Khan was the most feared conqueror in history. His Mongol armies swept across Asia, destroying kingdoms and rewriting history. But one of his greatest and most challenging conquests was China. The Jin dynasty, rulers of northern China, had a powerful army, massive fortifications, and vast resources. Yet within a few decades, they were completely wiped out. How did the Mongols, a nomadic people, take on a highly organized empire? What made their military tactics so deadly? And why did the fall of China's northern empire reshape history? The brutal war against the Jin dynasty and its key battles. And the advanced warfare tactics that gave the Mongols the upper hand. Early Mongol raids, 1211 to 1215. In 1211, Genghis Khan launched his first full-scale invasion of the Jin dynasty. The Mongols had already fought border skirmishes with the Jin for years, but now they were prepared for total war. The Jin dynasty, ruling northern China, had one of the most advanced military forces of the time. Their armies were heavily armored, well-organized, and supported by strong fortifications. However, they made a critical mistake. They underestimated the Mongols. Unlike traditional Chinese armies, the Mongols were highly mobile. Their entire force was made up of expert horse archers who could attack quickly, disappear into the open plains, and strike again without warning. The Jin armies, slow and dependent on fortified cities, struggled to keep up. Mongol tactics. The Mongols didn't just fight with brute force, they fought with superior tactics, superior horsemanship and archery. Mongol warriors could fire arrows with deadly accuracy while riding at full speed. This allowed them to harass and weaken enemy forces from a distance before engaging in close combat. Feigned retreats, one of their most famous strategies. The Mongols would pretend to retreat in battle, tricking Jin commanders into chasing them. Once the Jin forces were overextended, the Mongols would suddenly turn around and ambush them from all sides. Psychological warfare. The Mongols didn't just fight battles, they terrorized their enemies into submission. They massacred entire cities to spread fear, ensuring that other towns surrendered without a fight. By 1213, the Mongols had completely shattered the Jin field armies. But Genghis Khan wasn't satisfied. He wanted Zhongdu, the capital of the Jin dynasty. The fall of Zhongdu, Beijing, in 1215. After years of attacks, Genghis Khan finally laid siege to Zhongdu, modern-day Beijing, in 1215. The city was one of the most heavily fortified in China, with massive walls and a strong garrison. But the Mongols had adapted. They hired Chinese and Persian engineers to build siege weapons, including catapults and massive firebombs to destroy the walls. They also cut off all supply routes, starving the city into submission. After months of siege, Zhongdu fell. The Mongols stormed the city, slaughtering thousands in a brutal massacre. It was a clear message. Resisting the Mongols meant total destruction. The Jin dynasty in retreat. The fall of Zhongdu was a crushing defeat for the Jin. Their emperor fled south, abandoning the north. The Mongols now controlled most of northern China, but the war was far from over. The Jin, though weakened, still held power in the south. The final conquest of China was yet to come. Breaking the Jin dynasty. By 1216, the Mongols had secured most of northern China, dealing devastating blows to the Jin dynasty. But Genghis Khan wasn't just interested in raiding, he wanted total conquest. The Jin had retreated south, establishing a new capital, but the Mongols were relentless. Up until this point, Mongol warfare relied on speed, mobility, and open field battles. However, China's fortified cities and dense landscapes posed a unique challenge. Instead of attacking recklessly, the Mongols adapted their tactics. They began focusing on long-term sieges, cutting off supply lines, and using newly acquired siege technology. Mongols versus Jin dynasty. Unlike their earlier raids, the Mongols now launched systematic campaigns aimed at completely dismantling the Jin dynasty. Cities became the main battleground. Instead of quick attacks, the Mongols would surround cities for months or even years, starving the defenders into surrender. They also targeted trade routes and food supplies, making survival nearly impossible for the Jin population. The Jin dynasty, already weakened, struggled to maintain control over their territory. Entire provinces fell one by one. By 1219, entire regions of northern China were in Mongol hands, and the Jin dynasty was slowly being strangled. Mongol strategy in China. Genghis Khan was not only a brilliant general, he was also a master strategist. He understood that to conquer China, he needed to evolve Mongol warfare. Siege warfare. The Mongols hired Chinese and Persian engineers to build massive siege weapons, including catapults, battering rams, and fire-launching trebuchets. They also learned how to use gunpowder bombs, an early form of explosive warfare that terrified defenders. Cutting off supply lines instead of attacking every city directly, the Mongols destroyed supply chains, making it impossible for Jin cities to receive reinforcements. Cities surrendered out of starvation rather than battle. Spies and psychological warfare. The Mongols bribed Jin officials and turned them into informants. Some cities surrendered without a fight simply because the Mongols convinced them that resistance was hopeless. Devastation and brutality. Genghis Khan wanted to eliminate all future resistance, so the Mongols waged a campaign of terror unlike anything the Jin had ever faced. The Mongols torched entire regions, leaving survivors with nothing to eat. Tens of thousands were slaughtered to set an example. Some estimates suggest millions died in the Mongol invasion. If a city resisted too long, the Mongols wiped out its entire population to prevent future uprisings. By 1223, the Jin dynasty was barely holding on. The Mongols had dismantled their economy, crushed their armies, and turned China into a wasteland. The final blow was coming.